When you think of the greatest football kit manufacturers of all time, names like Adidas, Nike, and even Umbro are names that come to mind. Heck, even companies like Jacko and Joma are two massively underrated names that deserve more love. However, if you watch football, F1, and even the AFL, you would have heard of Castore and the mountain of problems that come with that name. Upside down logos to sweat-soaked disasters, Castore has earned a reputation as one of, if not the worst, kit manufacturer in football. Now, I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of the designs are actually quite good. Not mind-blowing, but they're solid, decent kits. They look clean and they do the job. However, the quality side of things leaves a lot to be desired. And trust me, as an Everton fan, I have to put up with these clowns manufacturing our kits, so I know what I'm talking about here. So sit back, relax, and join me as I dive into Castore, their history, and why they are just so despised. So we have to go back to 2015, when Castore was created by brothers Thomas and Philip Behon in Leverkusen, England, back in 2015, right across on the other side of the Merseyside River, if anyone was interested. Tom had been a youth player for Tranmere Rovers, while his brother Philip played semi-professional cricket. Really? Cricket? Could you pick a more boring sport? What makes this more impressive is that they were 22 and 25 when they started this business venture. They launched online in 2016 and opened their first physical store in Dublin in 2023. Going back to 2019, Castore became the official kit partner to Andy Murray. Now, I don't care for tennis, okay? It's a sport for old white people. However, I do know Andy Murray, and I do know that's a big deal. He even joined the company as a stakeholder, having his personal brand manufactured by Castore. But their biggest breakthrough came in 2020, when they stacked up Scottish Premier League giants Rangers on a deal worth £25 million over 5 years. The next year, they signed a multi-year deal with McLaren's F1 team, and in the same month, they got Premier League club Wolverhampton Wanderers, who ended up leaving for Sudu. We'll get to that later. 2 months later, they got Newcastle, and in 2022, Aston Villa joined along with several other English clubs such as Charlton, MK Dons, Salford, as well as Sevilla, Bayer Leverkusen, and Genoa in Europe. In 2023, they managed to get Red Bull Racing snatched away from Puma and then started branching out into Dutch football with FC Utrecht and FC Twente. Joining them as well was Dinamo Zagreb from Croatia and Glentoran SC from Northern Ireland. And in 2024, my beloved Everton signed up for some of Castore's famous kit manufacturing. And trust me, it's been painful. I'm literally wearing one of their shirts right now. In 2023, both Aston Villa's men's and women's teams complained when they were seen running around on the pitch looking like they had their kit on while in the shower. These shirts were soaking up crazy amounts of sweat, so much they were literally changing colour, let alone becoming heavy and uncomfortable to play in. Aston Villa jumped on this issue ASAP, pressing Castore for a quick solution. Castore came forward with a new kit, hoping it would resolve the issue. However, the damage was done. Villa was out and severed its multi-year contract with the British manufacturer, switching to Adidas in 2024. Newcastle ended their partnership with Castore over poor quality of their merchandise after complaints coming in from fans. They also made the switch to Adidas. However, there was no known complaints from players. Wolves didn't so much terminate their contract with Castore, rather when the time came to renew it, they decided not to, citing the same issues that plagued Aston Villa. However, they didn't join a big kit manufacturer, rather going for Sudu. Over in Spain, Sevilla also had the same issues that some English clubs had, causing them to terminate their deal. But their two biggest losses, in my opinion, are Bayer Leverkusen and Rangers. Leverkusen achieved history, the only club in the history of the Bundesliga to become invincible, which is even more incredible considering the most dominant force in Germany, Bayern Munich, never did it once. Heck, they almost did an entire invincible season after winning the DFB Pokal, and their only loss in that entire campaign came at the Europa League final against Atalanta, because Ademola Lookman turned into prime Cristiano Ronaldo playing against Atletico Madrid. And when you have a season like that, you know the kits you are wearing are going to be a big part of it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't mind the kits they had for the invincible season. They kind of slapped. Well, not so much the home kit, but the away and the third, I really rate them. Now, Castore had a huge chance here, like a history-making one, They see what's going on with Leverkusen and they can make a name for themselves and, become an even more recognizable brand. And they fumbled it. As I mentioned, Leverkusen made history. And of course, due to this history-making season, demand for merch was through the roof. And this is a problem I've failed to mention yet, but Castore weren't just hopeless with making shirts, but they were really, really bad at supplying them. People wanted that piece of history, and Castore couldn't match the demand for it. The away shirt itself was sold out for several weeks, and on top of that, the club's badge was falling off people's shirts. Leverkusen had enough and terminated the contract early, leaving to join New Balance and leaving Castore to lick their wounds. Rangers are one of the big two in Scotland, with of course the other being Celtic. Castore's first big signing in the world of football was Rangers. This was their foot in the door, and it was a significant one too, a statement-making one. They weren't just messing around, they intended to make waves and become a big player in the football world. Yeah, we're really seeing how that's going, aren't we? The partnership between the two lasted for 5 seasons. It was getting to the point where the two were kind of synonymous, but alas, the deal was up and Rangers decided against renewing it, opting to rejoin Umbro, a brand that the club had previously used from 1964 to 1990 and again in the mid-2000s, when they were at the height of their powers till 2013, when they cooked the books, crapped their pants, and had to restart from the 4th tier of Scottish football. But that is a story for another video. A lot of this just seems like Castore is determined to shoot themselves in the foot. The same quality and supply issues continuously popping up time and time again. We've mentioned the big clubs they've lost, but who's actually still in the books, and is a comeback a real possibility? When looking at the top 5 leagues in Europe, the only 2 clubs to come out of the Premier League are Burnley and, unfortunately for my sake, Everton. In the Liga, the sole club is Athletic Bilbao. Serie A is no one. Bundesliga is no one. And Ligue 1 is no one. So out of a possible 96 clubs, they have a total of 3. But maybe Castore is just more interested in focusing on smaller markets for the time being. Outside the big 5, Castore have some notable names, including Feyenoord, FC Utrecht, FC Twente, Club Brugge, Dinamo Zagreb, FC Zurich, and if we look down the lower divisions, you have Hertha Berlin, Kaiserslautern, Preston, Huddersfield, and Middlesbrough. And they're even trying to cash in on that Saudi money joining Ettifaq. But that's it, a total of 14 clubs, and when you compare that to Umbro, they have 50, and then you look at Nike, Adidas, Puma, well, they're just running away with it. Simply put, Castore have brought this on themselves. The constant and non-stop quality issues and lack of supply is a continuous problem, and they have made little to no effort to rectify this issue. And in some cases, the club badge being upside down. Some fans have incorrect items sent to them, and then there's this guy who orders 1 shirt and he gets 4, which, to be fair, it's not a bad deal. It's so bad that some clubs are selling their old Castore stock with discounts going as low as 70% off. They are plagued by issues and don't seem bothered by them. And personally, I don't want them to get better. And that sounds harsh, but in reality, why do I want them to succeed if they don't want to themselves? A football shirt is a work of art. It tells a story. It is the sacred colors and identity of a club. And when you're entrusted with this, it's something you should take seriously. And Castore continue to chuck fat turds on this concept. It shows a lack of respect for the clubs that have given you the honor of carrying the badge on your shirt. But with all this said, can they come back? No, I don't think so. I think they have a reputation now. And with the clubs that they reeled in early on jumping ship, other clubs are going to see this and rethink approaching them. And at the end of the day, they only had themselves to blame. Thanks for watching to the end of the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel as well. It's really, really appreciated. Thank you again. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.